My name is Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today we're going to talk about the connection between the horror movie Longlegs and T.Rex and Marc Bolan. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave your comment below. Tell me if you watched the movie, what you think, if you like it or not, okay? Well, let's start. The first thing, I want to tell you an interesting story about the director and the writer of the movie, the screenwriter, who is Oz Perkins, or also known as Oz Perkins. Well, he's simply the son of the late legendary actor Anthony Perkins, who famously was the main character in Psycho, was Norman Bates in Psycho, that classic, probably one of the greatest serial killer movie of all time, which is Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. And Osgood was named after his grandfather, who was also called Osgood Perkins, and he was a famous actor in the 20s and 30s, and he even appeared in the first version of Scarface, which was released in 1932. Well, with that, which is an interesting information, and we're going to talk a little bit about us later on, but first let's start then with the connection with T.Rex and Marc Bolan. Well, if you watch the movie, and I gotta tell you, there might be a few spoilers up ahead, so if you haven't watched the movie, watch it first and then you watch the video and you're gonna discover a little bit more about this connection. So since you already watched the movie, or you don't care about knowing a few stuff, a few minor spoilers, but if you watch the movie, you can't, and you're a rock and roll fan, especially if you're a glam rock fan, you're gonna see some resemblance of the way Nicolas Cage looked in the movie. He's Longlegs, a serial killer. He looks like an old glam rock star, with that powder in his face, the long hair, that makeup, and even maybe a few surgeries in his face to look a little better. Some procedures maybe, so he looks like an old rock star if you think a little bit, and it's really interesting because there really is an incredible connection between that, because as Osgood said in an interview with IndieWire, and he said many interesting things, is that when he was writing the story, writing the script, he coincidentally watched a documentary on Apple TV called 1971, a documentary series, 1971, the year that music changed everything, and he really liked that show. And there was a section about T.Rex, the band led by Marc Bolan, the British band, and he really liked it. He already had heard about T.Rex, but he wasn't a big fan of the band. He didn't know many of the songs, so he started to listen to T.Rex while he was writing, and it became really an inspiration for him. The music, it really started to become part of the movie, not only with a few ideas, but also with the visual, because there even are some Easter eggs in it, and we're going to talk about it. But the interesting things that he said to IndieWire, that when he explained the movie over the phone to Nicolas Cage, who also is one of the producers, he said that he said he was feeling really confident during the phone call with Cage, and at a certain point he said, I just kind of blurted out because I know he's into music too. And this is what what Oz told Nicolas Cage. He said, Nick, I know how this might sound, but it's T.Rex. That's what he was trying to explain his vision for the movie to Nicolas Cage. and he said it's T.Rex. And the interesting things that Cage told him that just a day before they were playing, he said his kid, one of his sons, was learning to play the guitar, and Nicolas Cage showed him the backwards guitar solo on the track Cosmic Dancer, the Marc Bolan's guitar solo. So something really fitted between those two, between the director and the actor and producer. So that's one of the connections. And another interesting thing is that you're gonna see it right here in the beginning of the movie, before the movie starts, before everything showed. You got a red background with a small part of the lyrics of "Get It On," which is probably the most famous T.Rex song of all time. And the lyrics says, the part of the lyrics says, "Well, you're slim and you're weak. You got the teeth of a hydra upon you. You're dirty, sweet, and you're my girl." And then the movie starts. And although, you know, that T.Rex is a glam rock group, and there's some cosmic lyrics that Marc wrote, and the sound is distinctive, and it's a great band. I love T.Rex, but there's really not a big connection. I mean, we're talking about a movie about a serial killer, and with a few satanic stuff behind it. And there was nothing really satanic about T.Rex. You know, it wasn't Black Sabbath, it wasn't Ghost, it wasn't a band that talked about the devil all the time, and etc. But he found a small world, a few things in the lyrics for "Get It On" to connect with the beginning of the movie, and it all makes sense after you watch the movie. So as you see here, the word Hydra, at the same time he was listening to T.Rex, he also read the book of Revelations. And there's a small passage in the book of Revelations that talks about a beast rising from the sea with 10 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. And he kind of connected that. It's a phrase that is quoted in the movie by the characters later on. And he connected that with Hydra. So you can connect that with Hydra from the part of the lyrics that appear in the beginning of the movie. And of course, it says, "You're my girl." And the serial killer chases girls, and you know, if you watch the movie, you understand that. So those two things really fit the story he was trying to tell. So it makes sense that those lyrics were shown in the beginning of the movie, besides of the look, the way the Nicolas Cage character looked. And the cool thing, and another cool thing that you can see in the movie, there's a few Easter eggs. And for example, there's a scene that shows Nicolas Cage, Longlegs killer. The place he's a hideout. The place he's hidden, and in the background behind him, you can see a famous photo of Marc Bolan with that hat. So it's an interesting Easter egg. And there's another interesting one that there's a scene where Nicolas Cage, Longlegs, is talking to a doll in front of a mirror, and right on the top of that mirror is the album cover of the famous Lou Reed solo album Transformer. And the interesting thing is that, you know, I wouldn't consider the Velvet Underground, for example, a glam rock band, but when Lou Reed started his solo career, besides having a really interesting sound, the way he looked was a little bit glammy for a while, and especially on the cover of that album, Transformer. He's got the makeup, the white makeup or powder in his face. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what kind of makeup effect it is. You can tell me in the comments if you know. But he has that powder in his face, and maybe it was also a small inspiration for it. You know, it's not just a coincidence that that album cover would be there. Of course, it's a connection with the glam rock groups and etc. But IndieWire also said an interesting thing. Is that they had the information that Longlegs' character was, and I quote IndieWire, they say the character was conceived as a former glam rock singer, and his physical appearance was inspired by Bob Dylan during his Rolling Thunder Revue tour. And as you might know, if you're a Bob Dylan fan, during that tour, Bob was using that powder, that white powder in his face. So it looks like really a good inspiration for the character. And besides that, another inspiration about rock and roll that the movie has was revealed by the sound designer who is Eugenio Battaglia. He revealed that when Oz told him that the movie was a little bit about rock and roll too, he thought about the satanic panic accusation, let's say, that the many bands had, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, and all the metal bands in the 70s, 80s, about putting satanic messages backwards in their record. So when you play the record backwards, it says something that might summon the devil or etc. So he took that, and he was inspired by that, and he did a few of those things that has a really interesting sound in the movie score. So you might some scenes might sound like it's a vinyl playing backwards, and he's playing with those stuff. There's some whispers and etc. So that's another interesting thing about the movie. And now I'm gonna say, as a horror movie fan, I'm a big horror movie fan, besides being a big fan of rock and roll. And as a horror movie fan, I believe it is certainly one of the greatest horror movies from the past years. But I really was not happy with the ending. I wasn't happy. I think it's being promoted as the greatest serial killer movie since Silence of the Lambs, which also was an inspiration for Perkins. But I think, he creates such a wonderful movie until the end of it. And everything's perfect. The photography, the storytelling, the ideas, the cast. Nicolas Cage is perfect in the role, and everything was great and going great and perfect. But I think the end kinds of fucks up a little bit of the story. I think it could have been much better if it was a little bit more centered in the Nicolas character. It takes like 40 minutes to Cage appears, and it's a wonderful way to tell a story. It was great, but I think the ending kinds of takes a little bit off the greatness of the movie. I think if it had a better ending and it was a little bit more focused on Cage, it would have been much better. But Oz did an incredible job, and I think he has a really potential to become, if he wants to, an incredible horror director and writer and screenwriter. And I mean, he deserves all the success and all the praise we can. You know, he has been through many tragic events. He lost both of his parents tragically. I mean, Anthony Perkins died of AIDS-related causes in 1992 at the age of 60, and Oz lost his mother, Barry Berenson, tragically as well in 2001. She was a passenger in the first airplane that struck the World Trade Center during the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And you know, it's just really, really tragic, and I think he really is an incredible director and can really do incredible things up ahead. And I'm really a big fan of him, and I hope he can do a lot more for horror movies. And that's it. I hope you liked the video. These are some interesting stuff about the movie and about some connection with glam rock, with T.Rex, Marc Bolan, and a few other things. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below, tell me what you think, and let's talk about it. Okay? Thank you for watching, and I see you later.